Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Cynical, and today I am back with another roundtable discussion. I released the first kind of roundtable discussion with HMK and Sir Alam last week, basically just talking about mainly topics to do with Kingdom Hearts 3, but we also went over the 2.8 leak. So you guys seem to really enjoy the roundtables, and most of the time, these are going to include all of the Keepers, but for today, instead of Sir Alam, we actually have Sky here. Sky was absent last week, but he's now in today's video, and now Dean, we don't know. We tried to get the Dean, but he didn't make it. So, the way these videos work is we're just going to be basically talking about 3 different topics to do with KH3, and if anything else is going on in the community, then we will, of course, bring that up. So basically, these are to serve as different opinions towards different aspects that I feel will be important towards Kingdom Hearts 3. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So for today's first topic, we're going to be talking about DLC/Final Mix for Kingdom Hearts 3. So what do you guys think about that? Do you want to see DLC, and if so, what type of DLC?
The only DLC that I like to see in Kingdom Hearts 3, man, those rhymes, is probably just gonna be Final Mix. I really don't see any type of other DLC being justified in the Kingdom Hearts series, because I mean, it's not something they ever tried to explore, and I doubt that experimenting with Kingdom Hearts 3, the end of the Xehanort Saga, is going to be it's not going to be a good idea. So the only type of DLC that I'll expect and accept is going to be Final Mix. Because I mean, like, we've reached the day and age where DLC is a thing. The reason why the Final Mixes back in the day were separate discs is because, you know, DLC wasn't a thing. But now that we have DLC, they can easily add the in-game content, patch up the game, add more enemies, fix bugs, or, you know, fix how the way Sora strikes, hitboxes, yada 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 in a Final Mix DLC pack. That's the only thing I'll accept.
See, my thing with DLC is, over time, my opinion has changed. When Kingdom Hearts 3 was first announced, I was like, yeah, DLC sounds totally cool, you know, it'd be like Final Mix, but now, as time has been going forward, and we've been moving into the next generation, or currently this generation, which has been PS4, Xbox One, all that good stuff, my opinion's kind of been a little swayed of going against DLC, and the main reason for this is because these companies, these AAA developers in the industry have been constantly screwing their fan base, these people who have supported them with very limited content on disc, or season passes and things like that. Like, I don't believe Kingdom Hearts 3 will go down this route, but with Kingdom Hearts 3 in a game of that mass, I would like it to be completely intact, and if there is a moment of DLC and they're doing it, it should be free.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how I feel.
Like, that's the biggest worry with downloadable content these days, is the perfect example I suppose you could use is probably Destiny. A lot of people were excited for this game, and then later on found out that, oh, okay, the actual full game experience is cut up into DLC packages. And of course, this is one of the biggest fears with DLC. People want a full experience day one on the disc, rather than having that thought in the back of their head where they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna get maybe like, I don't know, 65% of the game on disc, and then, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, you know, down the track, we'll get the rest of the game through the use of DLC. So, kind of like that aspect of it is a little bit worrying, but I don't believe that Square Enix will take that direction, honestly, especially to do with Kingdom Hearts. I just don't see them doing that. But yeah, a Final Mix I think would be absolutely fantastic. Maybe to add in some sort of extra things to do at the end of the game. Perhaps some of the stuff they cut away from the game during development that they just couldn't fit onto the disc. And one notable thing that you guys will kind of notice with the Final Mixes is they usually introduce a harder boss fight. And most of the time these boss fights are actually to do with the whole lore side of things. Of course, we notice in Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix, we got the Unknown boss fight, and of course we later on found out he was Xemnas, and he actually refers to that boss fight, Xemnas refers to that boss fight when he's talking to Roxas in the Dark Margin. Then of course we also verse the Lingering Wills, so if we don't get some sort of secret boss fight in Kingdom Hearts 3 that relates to perhaps something that's going to happen on later on in the series, I think a good inclusion with a Final Mix version would be perhaps to introduce a kind of new secret boss fight that might do exactly that.
I totally agree with you, Cynical, and to comment a little bit about what Skyward Wing said about his concerns, and those concerns are very well placed because, I mean, yeah, it's happening, it's no secret, it's not something that we're going to cover up, but at the same time, Square Enix didn't really have a bad track record with DLC. For the most part, they've released, you know, pretty much complete games in terms of content, but not complete in terms of polish sometimes. But Kingdom Hearts, I feel that, you know, there's way too many heavy expectations when going into Kingdom Hearts 3 that, you know, Square Enix is not going to try and fuck around with that. And at the same time, the Kingdom Hearts games, Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and Birth by Sleep, all that have received Final Mixes, have been complete games in their own right. Final Mix just, you know, merely supplemented those games with more features, boss fights, and lore. So if they just decide to do something like that with Kingdom Hearts 3, I'll be all for it. The things I won't be for in terms of DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3, if we want to talk about specifics, is if they decide to add another world, or they decide to add palette swaps for Sora, or any type of playable characters in the game. That's something I'm not down for, because I mean, like, why do we need this kind of
DLC
nonsense?
worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, I really, no, that's something I'm definitely not down with. But in terms of, you know, just expanding the game, expanding an already complete game in its own right, I'm totally down for, and that's something that I would love to support Square Enix with my money. So yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, when you put it like that, I definitely agree as well.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, so let's move on to the second topic of today, and that is playable characters. Now, Kingdom Hearts is kind of somewhat known for going into the whole thing of playing as different characters at certain different moments, depending on what Kingdom Hearts installment you're playing. Kingdom Hearts 1 strictly we played as Sora. Kingdom Hearts 2, the prologue, we played as a mysterious character at the time, which we later on find out is Roxas, and then of course we transitioned into Sora. Then of course Birth by Sleep, it kind of took the franchise in a different direction, being able to play as 3 different characters that all kind of had different stories as you progress through the game. So the big question about Kingdom Hearts 3 is, do you think we'll strictly be playing as Sora, or do you think there is going to be a moment during the game where we play as maybe another character or multiple different characters?
Well, in terms of playable characters, and I feel that Square Enix already gave us a hint, and I mean a heavy hint, a heavy-ass hint, that we will not be just playing as Sora in this installment. Now, an idea that I had, and a lot of people had at the same time, was that in the prologue, because they already confirmed that the conversation between young Ericus and young Xehanort is going to be the beginning of the game. And I feel that in the prologue, we will play as young Xehanort, but a lot of people would like to play as young Ericus. Personally, I think young Xehanort will be more interesting to play as, because, you know, that he is the villain. We like to see his perspective, yada, yada, yada. I would like to play with him in the prologue. But in the official synopsis of Kingdom Hearts 3 that they gave to us is that the Guardians of Light, the heroes, will split into 2 groups. One group, Sora, Donald, and Goofy will be looking for the key to return hearts, while the other group, Riku and Mickey, is going to be looking for the missing Keyblade wielders. And that is the biggest indicator in my book that we will be at least have 2 playable stories in Kingdom Hearts 3. One focusing on Sora and one focusing on Riku, because they gave him way too much importance in Dream Drop Distance just to not, you know, have him act on it in Kingdom Hearts 3. So I feel that Sora, Donald, and Goofy, you're gonna have Sora and 2 partners, Donald and Goofy. That will be like, you know, I would say the standard mode of the game. However, with Riku only having 1 partner in King Mickey, that will be a bit of more challenge for players to, you know, tackle, since you won't have as many people helping you out in that adventure. And that was very similar to what they did in Rechain of Memories, with the original story and Reverse Rebirth, where you play as Riku. So I feel that in Kingdom Hearts 3, we will be playing as 2 teams primarily, with Sora being one and Riku being the other.
See, my thing about playable characters is if they're doing the prologue, I think it is going to be like a in the past kind of situation. Like when they were young, you play as these characters, and then eventually, you know, a time skip will happen, and this is when Sora is doing this or that, and currently traveling Disney World to Disney World, or doing his training, whatever. We're not 100% sure. My thing is, though, the thing I have to disagree with Agent K is I don't want Riku to be playable, because I feel like Sora personally has oh my god, he's the protagonist. This is his moment, especially since he kind of flopped at the end of Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah.
And his redemption, I think it could be short.
Yeah, he
whatever,
has a lot of proof.
Yeah, I just would really like it if it didn't split. Like, I want it to be how it was in like Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, where you just travel Disney World to Disney World, solving the conflicts there, moving on, finding out clues for what's happening with Master Xehanort and what evil plans they're doing, and just overall interacting with these characters. I feel like if Riku was playable, we'd always get like half of the story for each, of course, to create a full story, but I would still prefer, personally, Sora being the only main playable character versus like with the prologue as well. So
Yeah, I mean, personally, I would have to agree with that as well. While I do like the whole aspect of two kind of ongoing storylines with, of course, Sora's storyline alongside KH3, and we have Riku's storyline along KH3. The main number title games have always been about Sora, though we have kind of different moments where it's kind of veered off from Sora, especially towards the prologue of KH2. It's always been about Sora, and I feel as if having different playable characters and different times where you're switching between characters, I think those are fine for the quote-unquote spin-off games, even though they're not really seen upon as spin-offs, because it's still very important to the story. Games like Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, those sort of games, it's fine to experiment with those type of things, but strictly speaking, when we have those numerals on the front cover in that title, I feel as if the story should revolve probably about 90% around Sora, most definitely. And in terms of actually having playable characters in KH3, I do agree with the whole prologue thing. We will most likely be playing as young Ericus or young Xehanort, as we already know that opening scene that we've seen so many times in the KH3 trailers between the conversation of Xehanort and Ericus has been confirmed to actually be the very beginning opening scene. And like Sky was mentioning, the prologue and the way you kind of learn how to play the game will most likely take it'll be set in the past, pretty much. You'll be playing as one of those characters. Alright, so for the third topic, we're going to be talking about the end game content and total game time. Now, when it comes down to it, I know that people like to sink in a lot of their time into video games, and I suppose that the more time that you can get out of a single video game, the better, right? You're getting more bang for your buck. Now, Kingdom Hearts has always, I suppose you could say, sort of distracted me personally, I know for a lot of people, distracted them for hours upon hours, because there's actually quite a lot to do in the different Kingdom Hearts games when you look at it. Now, when I usually finish a Kingdom Hearts game, whether it be number 1 or 2, I usually clock in at about 20 to 25 hours. Now, for a game of that generation, that's actually a decent amount of hours. Keep in mind, that's not actually including the end game content, because that can take you through up until like 40 hours plus, especially if you look at like Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. You can spend a lot of time playing that game, and that's pretty damn impressive for a game back in the PlayStation 2 era, as many things were quite straightforward with PlayStation 2 era games, where it just be you go from point A to point B, you finish the game, there's really not much else to do after the fact. So, Kingdom Hearts 3, how much game time do you want in this game in terms of hours, and in terms of the end game content, what sort of things would you like to see?
Well, end game total game time at least 50 hours. And the reason why I say that is like, oh, you want to play the game as much as you want. Well, duh. But I mean, when we're looking at Kingdom Hearts, it seems to be a totally different beast than what Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 was. And I'm saying in terms of world scale, because we've seen Olympus Mount Olympus. We've seen that shit. It's huge. So I feel that, and they've already confirmed that they're playing around with the idea of expansive worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I feel that's going to be a huge contributor to having the game time being a bit longer, not even a bit longer, but longer in general compared to the regular Kingdom Hearts games, especially the numbered titles. So I feel that 50 hours at least at the minimum would be a great. And hey, more Kingdom Hearts game time, more to enjoy, right? In terms of in-game content, all I want from end-game content in terms of Kingdom Hearts 3, because I mean, we are gonna get all the answers we seek supposedly when it comes to the Xehanort Saga. In terms of end-game content, all I'm asking for, Square Enix, all I'm asking for is setup, and more setup. I want the next series set up as much as you can in end-game content. Just do that for me and we Gucci.
Yeah.
Alright, for me, for total game time, I'm going to definitely have to agree with 50 hours, especially how they're making these worlds look like these massive, exploring, open worlds. Like, oh my god, I am ready. I am so, oh my god.
My dick is rock hard!
When I saw Olympus Coliseum, when I saw Olympus Mount Olympus for the first time, I was like, oh!
So
look at that draw distance, like how far it goes. Like, I can walk there. Like, that is phenomenal. Like, how far we have come in gaming. It's just beautiful. As for endgame content, one thing, we gotta fight Sephiroth again. We have to.
Yeah.
We have to find out what happened to Cloud and Sephiroth when they had their little fight in Kingdom Hearts 2, because they kind of just disappeared.
Well, I don't think it's gonna be endgame content for that. I think you'll do it within the story. I mean,
But like could you
it's
do that in Kingdom
important.
Hearts 2? But like after you beat the game, like I mean like that's something you can do, not like it's mandatory, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's always been like a little side thing you could do, and it's been like a really big thing to the community and everything. But that would be really cool. And another thing is like they've done this thing where they had these extra like heartless bosses like they did with like Kurt Caesar and the Phantom, and like extra Disney bosses like they did with Julius. Yeah, Julius and Dream Drop. This is just like a little extra boss, I feel like, hidden in these worlds. Not every single one. Oh, I hit my desk. Not every single one. But definitely like these hidden bosses, like hypothetically, if there's like a frozen world, like they would have like like a hidden ice boss that's like super difficult, and you could come back at the end of the game and he will be here, you know? Like little extra things that'll keep you exploring these massive worlds.
I
think it'd be
definitely
pretty cool.
agree with you, and that's why I brought up the setup, because I want an end game, an end game content boss, like a mysterious boss. We have no idea where it came from, who it is, or what. But this specific boss, is going to be like connected to the next story of Kingdom Hearts, or maybe the next enemy and stuff. That's the taste I want in the form of a boss. I would totally love that.
Yeah, I have to agree, like 50 hours, definitely. 25 hours is the usual amount of time you spend playing at least Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, so I think they can double that without a doubt, especially with the hardware that they're working on. Like you guys mentioned, the huge worlds, they're basically acting as mini open world environments, and I feel as if there's going to be so many different areas within these worlds that you'll have to go off the beaten path to explore, to find hidden chests and stuff. You might need to go back to these worlds later on in the game when you have more abilities to break through certain walls or get up to like certain ledges. So I'm hoping that they definitely implement more of the exploration side, you know, into KH3, because I felt as if Kingdom Hearts 1, even though the world layouts for Kingdom Hearts 1 were pretty bad, the one thing that they did do pretty well in Kingdom Hearts 1 was making a lot of the different worlds unique to themselves and making lots of interactive little things in Kingdom Hearts 1 in comparison to KH2. I felt as if, you know, even though KH2 is my all-time favorite Kingdom Hearts installment, it felt as if like each world was just a themed hallway that you would walk through, and then there would just be like Heartless Spawn. Like there was nothing really to interact with in the actual world space itself. So I'm hoping they bring that back from KH1 and put that into KH3 with trinities and all sorts of different switches that you can turn on and whatnot. I really like that aspect of KH1. So in terms of in-game content, I think secret bosses are no-brainer. Have Sephiroth in there. He's always been in the main entries. Have some sort of mysterious boss that we know little of. I think a Colosseum would be great, even though we know that Mount Olympus is going to replace the Colosseum. If we can have some sort of arena type thing with waves of enemies, that'd just be fantastic, because I really liked that in both number 1 and 2. And even though multiplayer can be a subject in its own right, just touching upon it very briefly, I think some sort of, not so much competitive, but something like mission mode, or what they did with the Mirage Arena would definitely add a big reason to go back to the game to play with friends, to perhaps reverse some of the story bosses with your friends in this arena. And I think like multiplayer would definitely add a decent amount of reason to go back to the game and to just keep playing it.
Yo, I'm down for Mirage Arena. Having things that you can only unlock in Mirage Arena, sold. Just so like, oh yeah, you want to get this play? Oh hey, yo, I'll do it, man. You know, twice shit.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
that destroyed me about 2.5, how they removed the multiplayer aspect of Mirage Arena. Because
I am still kind of salty about
that.
that.
Yeah, it sucks, dude, because like we had that cooperative, which would have been absolutely fun to play, you know, with the community and stuff. And then there was also that competitive, which I feel as if like a lot of people kind of ignore about. Like I see a lot of people saying there's never been any sort of competitive play, but there actually has been, where you actually use your skill set, your Keyblade against other people online, and that was in Birth by Sleep. But of course, the whole multiplayer experience of the PlayStation Portable was really poor back then, so I think it was a little bit overlooked. But yeah, otherwise, that's really about it for today, guys. I'm going to leave HMK and Skyward Wings channel links in the description below. Be sure to go check them out, guys. If you guys want to, be sure to kind of just leave us some subject requests in the comment section below. That'd be super cool. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you later. Peace.
Bye.
Yay.